Party with your host, Dustin Rybka.
Hello and welcome to Sex Party. I'm your host, Dustin Rybka. How would you like to go to a high-end, exclusive, luxury sex party? This week's guest, Ali Iseman, is the erotic event producer who is doing just that, producing events that have been featured in the New York Times, Cosmopolitan magazine. Her next big event is in a historic palace. It's a sex party in a historic palace in Lisbon. What can we expect from it? Is it going to be the eyes wide shut kind of experience? What's the ratio of male to female? How do you get invited to one of these parties? What does the vetting process look like? Ali also opens up about the first time she went to a sex party and what that was like. She is also, as if all of this weren't enough, she's also a certified relationship coach who helps couples open up their relationship to the world of non-monogamy. This is an incredibly fun episode. And we also get into the, exclusive secret world of luxury sex parties. You guys are going to love it. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Ali Iseman.
This week's conversation.
Ali Iseman, welcome to Sex Party. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. I am pretty fantastic. And it's been a while since I've been able to say that. So thank you for asking.
Oh, yeah. Was just things just stressful in your world or what?
World, like at a macro to a micro, it has been a wild start to the year. I mean, it's, life be lifing sometimes. I just moved from the US to London very abruptly after evacuating the Los Angeles fires and a number of other delightful challenges that have enabled me to grow. And so I'm grateful for them and all that wonderful stuff that you're supposed to say. So, yeah.
You're supposed to say, we're going to get along great. I love this. Do you think London, I spent a very, very, very brief horny time in London. And when I say brief, it was like very brief, but I don't know if I even want to say how long, but it's very, very short. And
there's some jokes that I will not say. Okay. As far as your brief horny time. But
yeah. Well, you can. It's fine.
I'm an adult.
Do you think London is hornier than, let's say, New York or LA? I mean, I know these are all different places, but like basically we're going like UK versus America.
Are we using like the Richter scale? Like our what level?
I feel like, to me personally, and what do I know? I'm just a podcast fucking guy, but I feel like maybe some of the kinks and sort of like hornier things are a little darker in London than America, but I could be totally off on that because,
Yeah, I think I can understand where that perspective would come from. Yeah. I think for my 2 cents on that is everything is, here we go with some more hippy dippy language, but everything is polarity, right? Like very, very literally. So the more, repressed a culture is, the more taboo something is, the more extreme its expression can be, because this doesn't, this lifestyle, this exploration is everywhere in the world in some form or another. We are not a minority. We are treated as a subculture, but it is very much not the case. And I think it's just reflective of, the British culture is a lot more reserved, I would say, perhaps, than the American culture, more so now, I would say, than ever. And I think that is just a response potentially to that of, really wanting, when people come out of that repressive pressure and want to start exploring those things, it can go just as extreme in the other direction. Does that answer your question?
I think so, yeah. Because it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just like I think as Americans, well, some of us, maybe it's just me. It's probably just me. But, it's always like you see, this is going to sound so corny, but I'm going with it because I don't care. It's my show. But you see like, James Bond, right? There's a reference where it's just like, it's all sex. He's traveling like, he's based in London usually, but he's, and it's different kinds of sexual experiences, obviously, like more like kind of, as wild as you can get for a PG-13 movie. But then you hear about underground sex clubs that are more easily accessed or talked about in London and in the UK. And so I think that, because here, the question I get in America, obviously all the time, hosting a show called Sex Party, is how do I find a sex party? What do I do? Can I just go and hang out? And, all of those kind of questions. And I feel like the conversations in London, I don't know, maybe it's just my romanticism of London, and like, the idea that like Jimi Hendrix went there and like found his style, and he was like very sexual and all those things. Maybe it's just that in my own brain.
I think there's also just like European culture. There's a little more there's a little more overlap maybe in like mainstream, like the rave culture, for example, is kind of a really great overlapping point where there's sort of these like sex positive raves, and this community also maybe sometimes they throw an actual play party, or there's a little more blurring of the lines in that specific area, which can be more kink focused, fetish focused in those areas, because of just that's what that crowd is generally into. Sure. But there's still so much more variety in London than just that, and Europe in general. I think that's maybe just the more publicly available version of that, and then it's like, like the Eyes Wide Shut version or fantasy of what that is, the mansion party and this and that, and this is where we giggle about it and not much happens, but we're like, wearing masks kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also Jack the Ripper. I don't know how the fuck that averages into anything, but like, it's pretty fucking gruesome, and he was killing sex workers. So I don't know.
Repression, not a fan. Not a good thing. We should, this is a part of life. There is no life without sex. So the fact that we treat it like it's this sort of like other thing somehow, it's like over there, has always blown my mind. It is one of the most fundamental components. It's why we're here.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and I think in my head, most of the time it's like a cinematic, like I said, like sort of James Bondy / horror movie, like kind of like sexual, like all the time. So it might just be my own bullshit. Side note, because why wouldn't we? Have you heard about this new wild theory that Jack the Ripper was actually a woman?
Oh no! Where did that come? I love a theory. I love a theory. Where is that? Is that just your theory? Are you just trying to get it started right now?
No. I would totally own that if it was. I don't think it's true based on what I know, but I did see there was a group, like some artifact or something that belonged to somebody, had some like multiple strands of hair from the same person, and it was not the victims, and it was not whatever. So there's like this theory that it was like, someone who had a grudge against sex workers and whatever. But I mean, I just threw it in there because why wouldn't I?
Is that what this episode is going to be about? Because I am not versed in Jack or Jacqueline. However,
Jacqueline the Ripper.
Jacqueline the Ripper. Is this a spin? Is this a new? Did we just create a TV show?
I think so.
We just.
And I think we might have already found the title of the episode. Jacqueline the Ripper is hilarious. Yeah.
Done.
No, but in the spirit of getting off of all of that, and we'd like to have a good conversation and like go where the conversation goes, like I said before we started recording. But at this point in the episode, they're like, what is this guy doing? What is the deal? Like, will you please just introduce the guest? So without
who the hell is this?
Without further ado, because I think what you do is incredibly interesting. I've been very, very excited to have you on the show. We tried once. I had some weird life thing happen, and so now here we are again. And so without further ado, could you talk a little bit to the audience and to myself about who you are and what it is that you do?
Absolutely. Thank you. So I am Ali Iseman, as you so perfectly pronounced it. I am the founder of Passport to Pleasure, and that company does two things: education and experience. So I'm a certified relationship coach, and I help couples all around the world open up without breaking up, whether they want to open up their relationship to include other people, or they just want to open up more authentically about their kinks and interests and things. I help them do that. I also run experiential events. And what that means is essentially curated immersive art play parties. I am launching a brand new series this year that I'm very, very excited to share with you and your audience later.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, already it sounds like we're on the same. We are on the same track with like the vision of the cinematic, well lit sex party with a mask or two. I mean, come on, what the hell? You got to have some fun.
Definitely into I use the word immersive a lot because I love when those spaces are, I say sex party, I say play party because those are familiar terms.
Yeah.
For me, I love just the idea of sensuality, and that gets, merged with sexuality a lot, and it can be a part of that, but it's really about all of your senses and really engaging all of your senses whenever experience you're having. And art and sex are self-expression. They're how we connect with ourselves, each other, understand the world. And so I love bringing all of those elements together. When you come to one of my events, whether you play sexually or not, you don't leave feeling like you missed out on something. The whole thing is built to flirt with all of your senses. There's so many different ways to engage. It's not just about the play, but that is available consensually as well if you're interested.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I used to do, nightclub events for a very long time, and I understand like how stressful and just so many moving parts, and you're always going to get a curveball, and the ice sculpture guy is late, and when it's whatever, right? So just for a moment, talk about how much work it takes to throw an immersive event, because I think we love a good immersion, and when you can do a sexual artistic immersion, I mean, man, but that's got to be hard to pull off.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces. You're not wrong. Because really, so this event I'm launching in August will actually be launched in Lisbon, Portugal. It is an annual traveling event. So it happens only once a year, never in the same place twice. So if you miss this one, you miss it. But that means we basically need to reinvent the wheel every year. It's a new event. And yes, there's certain components that are going to have to be, kind of dialed in, systemized, that kind of a thing, our production team, all that. But all the artists are going to be different. We're actually premiering an unreleased collaboration between a couple pretty world-renowned erotic artists, Aaron McPolin and Colin Byrne, with a collaboration with Nick Barnes. So it's this, I don't want to give too much away.
Sure.
It's a very, very special installation, but it's very, very exciting. It is really, for all intents and purposes, an erotic art opening, but there's also play available, because for me, if you're going to create this space that is going to have you, connect and be curious and express, I want you to be able to do that in any and every way. So that's why, to me, those components go together. So there is a lot of figuring stuff out, just when you think you've got a handle on one component, like you said, something else blows up. But that's also, as stressful as it is, it's both. It's also very exciting. It's really interesting. Like, I'm not going to throw an event that I'm not interested in going to. What's the point? I gotta enjoy some of it. As hard as it is, it better be fun and interesting to me. So yeah, I mean, I can't say there's always, this is the one thing that always, it's something different every time. I've been in this space for just about a decade at this point. I was a part of a number of different communities in Los Angeles and helped build and grow a number of parties there. And it's, as well-oiled a machine as you can be. And there's still always, without fail, we've done the sound, we've done the run through all the tech. And then the mics just aren't working, or the speaker shorts out, or everything was fine when we did the run through. And there's just things you can't even believe it. And then you throw sex in the mix. So there's a whole other component to be aware of.
Yeah. And what a component that is. I know you don't want to talk about the ones that are coming up, but maybe could you, just from the beginning, let's say I don't know anything and I'm just someone who has purchased a ticket or gone through the registration or whatever, and it's my first time, and maybe use an older event.
Well, no, I'm happy to share. I absolutely want to share what this event coming up is with your audience. I'm just not going to give away all the art and the experiences that are contained within it.
You can't.
I'm absolutely happy to talk about talk about it specifically.
So what should I expect? How should I prepare? Oh my God. Or am I coming? Is it just for couples? Am I coming solo? And that sounded totally, everything on sex party sounds sexual. So am I coming by myself? Is that allowed? Like, give me all the details. So let's walk them through it.
Absolutely. Well, and this is why I operate under education and experience, because I think it's so important to have both. Education, as much as I wish it was, just isn't sexy. So you got to have some kind of experience in which you can employ the new knowledge you have. And experience on its own, you shouldn't be just diving into a play party without having any idea what's going on or what to do. You're just setting yourself up for a lot more stress and potential mistakes than you need to. And that's why you educate yourself. That's why I provide all kinds of free content on YouTube. I even have a workshop, Become a Play Party Pro, that walks you through everything. Even if you've been going to play parties, maybe you're curious to start hosting your own. There's a section of the workshop that gives you the tips on how to get that started. Like, I want this to be accessible at whatever level you're interested in, whether you want to go to the sort of sexy rave or you want to go to like a really high-end immersive experience like the ones I throw. You should have a base level understanding, at least, of what to expect. So let's touch, like you said, on a few of those things. Let's touch on them consensually. So what my event is a vetted event. So I don't have, just a website. You go, you click purchase, boom, you've bought a ticket. This is an invite only event. You apply to be considered to receive that invitation. And we are promoting the event through specific community partners like yourself. I'm getting to share this with your audience on this show today. And other, parties all over the world are actually promoting this event to their membership as an offering. This is an event, like I said, it's annual. I'm not interested in competing with people. It doesn't live anywhere. I'm not looking to take over anybody's turf. I want to work with all the amazing communities that already exist and support them by creating this event that feeds back into their community. So that's step one. You're maybe already a part of a community and you've heard about this new event that's coming through. And you love to travel and you want to go to a destination event and kind of you've been to all the events maybe in your local area, or you just want a new experience with your local community somewhere else. You find out about my event, you click on the application, you submit your application. Those are the 2 stages of vetting for my event. That application gets considered, you get the confirmation that it was received, and then, assuming your application is approved, you get that invitation, which then gives you the link to purchase tickets should you desire it. And there's different kinds of tickets, there's different add-ons, because we are throwing this event, but we are working with local venue partners. So we have opportunities for people to connect before the party itself. So we have some smaller, prefix dinners, we have some drinks, some rooftop cocktails, other opportunities for people to connect in maybe, lower stakes environment, so that they have some familiarity and some sense of community before going to the event itself. And then we're also doing an aftercare day at the beach club, at a partnered beach club afterwards. So everyone can kind of like integrate together again in that kind of lower stakes environment, and then move on after having this incredible experience. And that's one version. There are plenty of events and communities around the world that you can see have websites. You can just, purchase a ticket. It's a different experience when there's an event that's vetted versus an event that's not. I'm not going to say better or worse. It is just a different experience. There's parties and there's clubs. Those are also very different environments. And then even within the parties themselves, there's different types of communities. You can have, like we were talking about earlier, there can be like a kink or a fetish party. There's a poly party, which is a very different vibe, or, a swingers party. All of these different types of communities have their own way of doing these sorts of events. And then even within that, each community has its own personality. So each party might have a different theme or something like that. There's going to be all that information available on the event page, no matter what kind of event you're going to. That information should be provided.
Well, so many questions, right? And I'm so intrigued as well, which is good when you have questions.
Ask away.
So what does the vetting process, and again, only say what you will, because I don't want someone to try to like subvert it or whatever, but I'm sure you're prepared for some subversion of a vetting process, but are you background checking people? Do they take an STI test before? Like, what kind of things?
Sure. So again, not every party is the same. So I'll talk about, what we do. So like I said, there's 2 stages of vetting for this particular event series. You're, coming through some already existing community platform, what have you. We have about 15, 17 community partners so far, with more coming on board. And then you submit that application. It's a series of questions, things like that. What's your experience level? What are you looking for? That kind of a thing. It's not about a right or wrong answer. It's about really putting thought into it, really thinking on these things. And, what do I want out of this experience? And that application, more than anything, gives us the ability to watch a few, what I call ratios, because I like to make sure that my events are available to people who are new. there should be no reason that you can't attend an event just because you haven't attended one before. Talk about a catch-22. I want to make sure that people can have an amazing experience as their first event. But it is important to make sure that there's the right balance of new to experience, because if you have too many new people at an event, it can be very overwhelming. And then, kind of the action doesn't feel like it kind of can stall out a little bit. But if you have too many experienced people, that can be overwhelming for the new people. So really watching ratios like that, partnered to unpartnered, things like that. And there is a little matchmaking involved. Like, we like to know what people are interested in, what they're looking for, to make sure they're not the only one looking for that at the event. We want to make sure your people are there for you. That's why I love doing these more higher end, more heavily curated events, because I get to put that level of attention and detail into curating our guest list.
Yeah.
So it is a limited, we have a certain number of tickets. It's not sell as many as we can. It's specific to the venue. What amount of people is going to feel good, not too crowded, not too empty. You're going to be able to talk to, people and hear each other, but also not feel like you talk to everyone, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, don't worry. I have 100 more. So to tip, and again, like, just ballpark figure, just Wrigley Field figure here, for a little Chicago reference. How many people usually attend the events? Like, is there, like, what's usually the cap? Is it between 200 and 400, or is it higher?
For like my specific, this event series we're launching this year, or in general?
Well,
for this,
both.
Yeah. I mean, you can go to a private party at someone's home and it's, 5-6 couples, 10, 12 people. You could go to a 800 person mansion takeover hotel, 1,200 person hotel takeover.
Sure.
There's all kinds, 500 people to 600 people to rave. It really depends on what kind of event or what kind of experience you're looking for. So know that level of variety is out there. Yeah. And that's why I really encourage people to think about, what am I looking for? What kind of experience am I looking for? Because I want to go to a sex party isn't an experience. That's like a thing you check off. What do you actually want to experience? That'll help you determine what kinds of events do I want to look for. So my events, like I said, are very dependent on the venue. So for me, it's very important that we have that community connective feeling. Yes, this is an event for purchase, but that's why we have, why we're curating our guest list through already existing communities, to keep that, connective tissue, if you will, alive. So I don't want to go too big. I don't want 600, 400 people. But also, if we have, for example, the location we have for our event in Lisbon in August is a historic landmark. It's actually a palatial, a palace in the middle of the city. So if we have 50 people in a palace, it's going to be like, wow, they couldn't sell any tickets, huh? It's like crickets in here, that's not a vibe. I don't want you to hear your voice echo. That's not sexy.
Yeah.
As well as it may be a different kind of sexy, but that's not the party we're throwing. But I also don't want you packed in there, you're in a rave, they were just trying to fill the space. So for this event, for example, this venue, the part of the venue, we've taken over the whole, above ground area. They have a whole underground section that's more like conference rooms. That's just not the vibe. We have all the really sexy high ceiling chandeliers, the incredible views of the city, and those rooms and the, what do you call it? The veranda and the pool area and all of that, feeling about 150, 250 people is going to be a real nice sweet spot where you're still going to feel like you're connecting with a bunch of people, but you didn't get to connect with everyone, but you're going to really be able to form some really lovely, hopefully relationships during the evening, and really find your people and have some unique experiences.
Yeah.
Without again, feeling super crowded and packed in like sardines. Want you to be able to dance and move around freely.
And so you will do this event. Did you say you just do one event like this annually? Is it one per year? And
it's specifically designed that way.
Do you do smaller stuff in between, or?
So as we build out, I will be working with our community partners to kind of look at, maybe we'll do a collab members event or something like that, where we'll have a social hour in one of the satellite cities or something like that. But that's, as we build out, the main event is going to be the once a year. Think of it like a conference or a festival that, brings people together with a shared interest from all over the world. And it happens once a year. We want it to really be like that destination event. Oh, did you guys make it to Coachella this year? Yeah. Did you get to Cavanos, which is what the event is called?
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in total, with all the stuff that happens before and then the after kind of like, rehabilitation days, like,
Very much, yeah.
yeah. Is it like a 3-day thing, 4-day thing, 5-day thing?
For me personally, like recovering from the
event? No. I mean, like for the no. Like if I'm going to Kavanos, right? If I'm going to your event, how long? And I want to do everything. How long is that experience? How many days?
I would recommend you, so the party is Saturday night into Sunday morning. I would recommend that you fly in Friday so you can, ideally you will have already reserved your space at one of our prefix dinners. So you can meet with a small group of, 6 to 10 other guests. You can meet some folks in a, again, low stakes environment.
Sure.
And then you could maybe go to, 1 or 2 of the different partnered bars, speakeasies that we're going to work with and, mix and mingle. We don't want to do buyouts for those because we really want people to feel like they're getting the local experience of wherever we are. Because again, this is a destination event. Yes, we're doing the party, but we really want you to experience the city as well and just the vibe and the local culture. So you could go to the prefix dinner, you could, check out a couple of the drinks there, and then you're ready and you're getting dolled up and you're excited and you're buzzing because you met some cool people at those events and you've told each other you're going to meet up out front before so you can go in together because no phones inside. And then you're dressed and you're ready and you approach the venue and it's there and it's amazing. And you got in before the doors close at 10 because they close. We will not open them. I don't care who you are or what TV show you're on. The doors close at 10. So you're inside and you're having this amazing experience. The party goes until 2. Wrap things up. You get a few hours of sleep, maybe, or maybe you decided to have a little after party, a little after pray with some friends. And you go, maybe you got one of the rooms at the venue. So you all just go upstairs and kind of keep the fun going. There's a nice beach club aftercare day. Say that 5 times fast. So even if you only get a couple hours of sleep, you're going to have another lovely connective opportunity outside in the sun on the coast. And you're really going to get to integrate all the incredible connections and crazy cool things you got to see and experience throughout the weekends. And then you can fly out Monday. So I would recommend coming in on a Friday, leaving on a Monday. So you're not stressed about trying to catch your flight or figure out hotels or anything like that. You really get to dip in. But I also want to stress, if you can't do that, if you can only fly in Saturday morning and fly out, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and you're there for the main event, we have built this to make sure everyone has ample opportunity to be entertained, to be flirted with in every way, to see something and experience something curious. You're not going to miss out if you can't hit everything, and you're not going to see everything. You're not. It's Burning Man. You're not going to see it all. That's okay. That's the point. Come back next year.
always leave them wanting more is the cardinal rule with any of this stuff. Yeah,
exactly. But make sure they've come at least once. Come on.
yeah, for real. That's important for sure. So okay, on that note, on at least trying to come one time, right? Like, how horny do these things get? I mean, and is it like, because people picture Eyes Wide Shut every single time that
of course, we have such limited representation of what's available. Right, that's the go-to.
Thank you, Stanley Kubrick. I love it, but it's
beautiful.
It is also, you did say you're in a palace, so that kind of Eyes Wide Shut checks that box too. So we're kind of batting, 1 for 2 or for 3 here. But so the thing is, like, what I'm trying to invoke in their imaginations, right, is. And I'm sure it's different for everybody who's there, has different objectives or goals, or maybe they're just kind of going with the flow. Is it just like an orgy in one room and people conducting, couple swaps in another? Is there like sort of a flow? What's it like at these parties, like sex wise?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and really quick before I touch on that, I want to answer a couple things I just realized I didn't touch on that are very important that you did ask about. My parties, we do ask for STI results. We do not hold on to those results. They're not stored anywhere. No private information is stored anywhere. But that just enables us to try and do our best to make sure we can limit the amount of potential breakouts or anything like that. And it's not a matter of if something comes back positive, you're barred forever. No, just go take care of it. Test again. Once you're clear, all good. We just, this is how we take care of each other, right? It's just, and it's also, my hope is to inspire people to understand how just normal that is. If you're a sexually active adult, this is a part of self-care. It's a part of health, like going to the dentist or it's just another component of your life that you take care of. Why wouldn't you want to be regular and have that as a habit? I test every month minimum. Just because I'm a sexually active adult, regardless of how much or how little. If I have a new partner, I always test 2 weeks after a new partner. I always use protection personally. And that is my system. For me, it's easier when I know I have a simple system. That's why I go monthly no matter what. But then I also have that backup. So all that to say, yes, our parties do require STI results beforehand. And we also have people sign NDAs because the folks that attend our parties have, we have all kinds, and there are plenty of folks who need a higher level of discretion. So while we do have our application process, for some folks that doesn't work. So we do also have the opportunity to reserve an interview for folks who need a higher level of discretion as well. But regardless, everyone signs an NDA. And I always tell people, look, if somebody sees you at an event, you also see them. You're both there.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. I mean, for sure.
And so, sorry. So I want to go back to your question about what is this? This is like a free for all. That's again, why we kind of try to watch the ratio of experience is you want to have enough people who are comfortable in this environment with getting play started and all that, but we don't leave it up to that. This is immersive in regards to, we have performances as well. And we have tasting stations throughout the event. What I mean by that is if you've ever been curious to pole dance or, get fire spanked or, be tied up and suspended or there's all kinds of different opportunities for you to play with different sensation play, things like that. And our 3 main performances take place in 3 different spaces within the venue that take you deeper and deeper into the palace itself. And also ideally deeper and deeper into your connection, into what your intentions are. Kavanos is an ancient Ashkenazi word that means intentions. And that is what we do. We create spaces. You create the event. We give you the space to make your intentions a reality. So whatever you're bringing into this space is the experience that you're going to have. We're going to give you everything you need to have that experience. So we have those performances. The theme of this event is Lisbon Wedding Night. So we're fucking with the idea of very traditional concepts around connection and partnership and things like that. So we have the wedding ceremony, we have the wedding reception, and then we have the wedding night. Those are the themes of our 3 performances.
Nice.
And they're not exactly what you might be expecting. Let's just leave it at that. But we want to give you as many opportunities. We have the immersive art exhibit I mentioned. There's tons of other art as well throughout the space. You have a lot of stuff to get curious about and check out and explore. That's why I say, whether you, play sexually or not, you're not going to leave feeling like you missed out if you didn't have sex. There's so many things to talk about because I don't want people coming in, especially if they're new. And it's just okay, here's this cool venue. Good luck. And where do I put my hands? What do I talk about? I want you to be holy shit, I was not expecting. Did you see when she and her feet were, I didn't even know you could do that. I want to give you everything you need, again, to have that opportunity, even if you're shy or introverted. I don't know what to talk about. You're going to have plenty to talk about that isn't directly about sex, just to get that connection started with people.
Yeah. So, and I love that because a lot of people think that you have to go and start jerking off or
no, there's no have to.
Yeah.
Well, I should say the only have to is honor your boundaries and others and practice consent. That's the only have to. There are, you don't have to be polyamorous or non-monogamous. There's plenty of monogamous couples that come, single people that come. You don't have to play. There's plenty of folks that come just to meet other people who are like-minded, and maybe they just play with each other, or maybe they don't even play at all. They just get really excited and take it home. There's no have to. It's a space of possibility.
Well, and the wedding theme, right? Are people then dressing in that theme? Is that encouraged?
So it's, so I like our initial, I'm going to fuck with the idea of this is, the whole only the bride can wear white kind of thing. And I'm nah, everyone gets to wear white. So it's actually a white party.
Oh, okay.
Part of that is because that enables us to use, as long as the outfits are on, there's some projection elements. I'll leave it there as far as
cool.
some of the art and everything.
Very
so people
cool.
actually are going to be able to come and be a part of some of the art that's taking place as well with that. So this is a white party in that everyone is wearing white, and your version of sexy, elegant wedding attire. I'm sure there will be all manner of folks showing up in full on wedding dresses. I am here for it.
Yeah, that's so horny. I love that idea. Actually,
and it's such a fantasy for so many people. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. This is our first one. Let's go all in. This is great.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Well, be careful with the black lights with white. Yeah, turn them off. But that's dope. That's like really, I mean, and what I'm trying to do here is, give you sort of like the canvas to paint what we all, I mean, if they're listening to this and there's, driving to work or wherever, like they've pulled over and like, God damn that. But no matter where they're at, either on their run or they're watching this on YouTube, if I'm still out on YouTube, whatever, they were just there. They were just at the I almost said the red wedding. That's hilarious. They were at they were just
Next
at
year.
No. They were just at the white wedding, right? And they could smell it and feel it, and they don't, and there's all this possibility.
Yes.
And with that too, is it primarily, would you say, for this event or events like this that are larger, I mean, medium, whatever, is it primarily polyamorous couples? Is it people that want to explore? Is it, because you said all, so, but like, do you keep that ratio sort of in a certain place as well? Because I know, single dudes ask me all the time, like, oh, I want to go to and some of them are like, I'd love to go to a high end one that does testing and all of the things and so
that would be us.
Exactly. And so my rationale in asking these questions is, some events, I don't want to say they look down on single men coming, but it's single men going to the show, going to the party, but it's like, hey man, we got enough of you. Like we don't need a lot of single. It's better if there's more women. It's better if there's more couples. So what's your approach in terms of ratio and everything for your events?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I never give away my numbers.
Oh yeah. No. Don't do that.
Don't never ask a girl her ratios.
I would never.
No, but it's, I absolutely want single men to feel encouraged and invited to apply. Mm-hmm. And that's why I stress really being, consider your intentions. That's why my events are called Kavanos, intentions. This is, anyone can rent a venue and throw a bunch of mattresses down and call it a sex party.
Yeah.
I say sex party because, I'm on the Sex Party podcast, but like, this is so much more. This is an event of possibility, like you said so perfectly. So what is it that you're seeking? If it's just sex, you can pay for that anywhere. You can do that. Like, you don't need to come to my party for that. Excuse me. You don't need to attend my party for that.
I think we just need to stop even trying.
It's just there. It's there, you guys.
It's there. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're coming everywhere.
Everywhere. That's what we do. So like that. Yeah. I don't have a short answer for this.
Sure.
It's important to talk about though, because I am very firm in that, I would love to not have gendered tickets. I would love all of my tickets to be the same price and everything's there, but that would not acknowledge the reality of the world that we're in. And to me, that's out of integrity. We are in a hierarchical, patriarchal world, and everyone suffers from that, including men. But we need to build structures that acknowledge that, and replacing it with, another hierarchical system, replacing a boys club with a girls club is not progress. It's just a, potentially different outfit. So how do I acknowledge the reality of, for non-male presenting people in the world, it is, more likely that they are not getting paid as much for the same work, that they are having to put more time, effort, and money into getting ready for an event like this, for example, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the way that I can do that is by reflecting that disparity in ticket prices and gendering tickets, so we can watch those ratios and make sure all of it is, the sort of balance that we're looking for.
Sure, yeah.
And I don't want it to be a massive imbalance because, non-male tickets at $50 and male tickets at $1,200 sets a precedent I'm not interested in either. I'm into empowerment. I want everyone who's there to be choosing to be there. It's an investment to be there. You are creating something for yourself so that it's reflective of the, standard idea of the pay gap. Basically, it's a, what is a 30% difference basically in cost. So we have tickets that we have partnered and unpartnered tickets. So couple is a word that's common. If you're in a throuple or a moresome or things like that, we absolutely have packages that we can arrange for you. Whether you're partnered or not is more what we're looking at to make sure that, again, we have a good number of solo folks to partnered folks, because different kinds of people are looking for different kinds of connections. And we want to make sure that's available. We have poly people, we have swingers, we have single folks. So regardless of, your current relationship dynamic, your gender, think again, what is your intention? What are you looking to give to this space? And what are you looking to get out of this space? Because everything's in exchange. If you're just looking to come and take, this probably isn't the event for you.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, but I do encourage everyone to apply.
Well, I love that answer, because even dudes, nobody wants 100 dudes just standing around. And I'm saying I am a dude. And so no one is interested in it, no matter what your sexual orientation is or how you identify, gender wise. Women aren't interested in it. Men aren't interested in it. Like when there's too many dudes in the world already. Okay. I'm just going to say it. All right. So I think when you go to a party that's sexual in nature, dudes don't want to be fucking standing around with other dudes, not 100 extra dudes. It's kind of like, what the, come on, dude. And women are like, this is kind of like fucking testosterone heavy. And and sometimes that's good in spurts. Again, not gonna change what I just said,
the language,
because it sounds sexual and that's what we're here for. But I think that's really smart. And I think that men should just get used to the idea of, here we go. We've been in control for, I don't know, a fucking million years. Like, let's just ease up and maybe pay a little bit more for tickets to something that's luxury, that's going to have beautiful people at it and not have a problem. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I think it's actually quite brilliant that there's tiered gendered ticketing. I think it's smart.
Because I'm looking for equity, not equality, because equality is giving everyone the same thing regardless of their needs.
Yeah.
Equity is giving people what they need. And I don't want you to be at a party you don't want to be at either. So I want to make sure we're watching a lot of different components to make sure that we're creating an environment that's conducive to what you're looking for. Just because you don't get an invitation to this party doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to get an invitation to the next one. This might just not be the party for you.
Right.
We're paying attention at that level of detail.
Yeah. Well, that when you're in a palace in Portugal, so
we're putting this level of effort in. We want to know that you're showing up too.
and you have to. And I think that's awesome. So I want to flip it, because this is one of my favorite questions. I'm not sure if I've ever asked it this way. When we get to talking about sex parties and play parties and orgies and high-end sexual entertainment venues, right?
Like, how many words can we use without saying sex party?
Yeah. And so I love to ask this question, because I'm always surprised by the answer that I get. And I don't want you to give specific numbers, but is the percentage of single women that come to your events extremely high, extremely low, medium? Because this is always a surprising answer.
Again, are we using the Richter scale? It's hard to quantify. Again, we're watching relationship dynamics, we're watching gender, we're watching experience levels. There's a lot of different ratios at play. Yes, there are more single women, or I should say single non-male tickets than single male tickets. But then we're also taking into consideration all the different types of partnership that are available and different gender expressions within each of those. So there's generally a higher number of non-men, I guess, or non-male. I don't know say that properly, but I wouldn't say it's it's balanced. I know that's a very obtuse answer. I don't know. Is there another way to ask the question? Because I want to give you like a good.
Well, I think
so that you can walk away.
so. How about I explain my question a little bit better for everybody, but also too, because it hopefully will be more of a fascination point this way. Usually, when I ask that question, everyone assumes that like the single female unicorn, as we call them, right?
Yeah.
They're not there. That's a fallacy. That's not. But then when I ask people in porn, they're like, oh no, I go to these things all the time by myself.
Yes.
But I usually take a girlfriend and, we hang out together, split up, do whatever. And then when I'm asking someone in maybe like a poly-esque sort of environment, it's a party at someone's house or a hotel takeover, again, then it's rare for like a single woman. So that's what I was asking basically.
Okay. I think I'm going to answer it in two parts. I'm going to answer with a personal anecdote, and I'm going to answer with a nerdy as fuck anecdote.
Love it. We love it.
Because I wouldn't be the non-monogamy nerd if I didn't do that. So I went to my very, very first sex party. No experience, no education, just knowing, again, I see eyes wide shut. I know something's out there. Like, help me, universe. I went to my first sex party ever, completely alone, solo. I had a wonderful experience. I cannot say that is the same for everyone, but I will say that when you go, have a very clear understanding of what you're interested in and what you're not interested in. That level of that conversation around dibs, desires, intentions, and boundaries is important, even if you're going solo. What are you looking for here? What are you not cool with? Take the pressure off of yourself. I think that was the key for me, is there was no like, I have to, I for some reason, I just knew I was like, I'm going to go. I'm just curious. Like, I don't need to play. I don't need to, like, I just want to meet people and see what this is about. I was very lucky. I had two really wonderful hosts. The second they found out it was my first party, they like took me under their wing. They were like, let me introduce you to people. And I met some wonderful people. And it was in this, like penthouse in a hotel in LA. And I remembered this one point in the evening, it was earlier than I was expecting. And I had noticed it had kind of cleared out. And I was like, oh, wow. I thought, this was going to go later. I hadn't really seen much action. I was like, oh, this is okay. Like, cool. I mean, I guess it's like social. I don't know what I was expecting. I just thought I would go later. I thought there'd be, more stuff going on. And one of the hosts was like, oh, no, come with me. And she like takes me down this like hallway I hadn't even seen when I came in, and it opened up into this room. And it was just like this, I always describe it as like Baroque painting, just like bodies, just like moving. And like, it was the orgy room for all intents and purposes. And it was just the most, like, I dropped into my body in that moment. It was so validating of like, yes, there are other people like me. This is gorgeous. It wasn't even like an erotic thing. I was just like, fuck yeah. Like, this is real. Like, this is real life. This is amazing. All that to say, along my journey, it's been many years since then. A new word was created. It was defined recently, symbiosexuality. And it helped me understand a really important part of my attraction. I was a unicorn for quite some time. I really loved dating couples, playing with couples. And it wasn't about either of the individuals. I really liked the dynamic. I was really attracted to the relationship. That's what symbiosexuality is the attraction to an already existing dynamic. And there are plenty of people who have that. And that is why I say, yes, unicorns do exist, but they are 360-degree people with their own desires, needs, wants, interests, boundaries, etc. They are just as complete as somebody who's partnered. They just have just as many considerations to take into account as somebody who's partnered. They are a full person. So single people do exist at these events in all gender expressions as well.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think I again, this is such a visual, immersive episode. And I love that, because that's what we strive for, is that if you're watching this or listening to this, you're having the same experience. So everyone was just with you in the orgy room.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. And only answer what you're comfortable with. But that first time, did you participate in anything? Did you get a little wild, or did you kind of like hold off?
See, my recollection is I had said, I don't need to play. Like, I'm, There's no worries. If I find someone attractive, I can always like, exchange numbers, meet up after, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped me, I think, relax and really kind of be available to connection. And so when I was having that experience, the host, the woman who had brought me up to the room, she was just like, we had been getting along, had great conversations, and we're just, it was fine. And I was just having such a yes, like I was feeling so good. She was like, you just have the most beautiful melons. why am I censoring that?
I don't know.
She really enjoyed my upper region, and she asked if she could play with them. And I said, yes, that would be great. Thank you. And I also wanted to experience what it felt like to be in the room rather than just watching it. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't join in like the group play, but I, asked if I could, that there's a little space, and I asked if I could kind of just hunker in there and just kind of sit back, and it was okay to watch. And if it was okay to just kind of be in there. And that's very important too. Like just because you're not physically playing, if you are within close proximity, your energy is still engaging in that scene. So if you're, I like to say like, this might be too soon, but like COVID consent, if you're within 6 feet, just gently, hey, is it cool if I watch? Cool.
Right. Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel good to look up when you're in something and just somebody is like, that's not a vibe. That is, do not be that person, please.
Well, yeah. And I think it's consent also means like and stop me where I'm wrong, because I'm the king of being wrong sometimes, but a consent also means if you're going to masturbate, if you're going to touch yourself, you should ask for consent to do that in someone's proximity, because we hear so many stories. And there was someone on the show at this point months ago, and this guy and his wife he was having sex with his wife in this crazy position, and this guy just like walked up and like started jerking off, and the guy's like, what the fuck, he's like, well, it's a party, and then that guy gets kicked out. So you have to, like, when you approach, it's okay, just ask, if
you're like all the way across the room and you're like, that's less, I would say that's fine. If I can't make eye contact with you, like, and that doesn't mean you're avoiding me. If we're like far enough away. Again, it's like, it's that 6 foot rule is my 2 cents on that. Because saying, can I watch is not the same thing as can I watch and touch myself. That is a completely different request.
Yeah. Who's over there in the corner? Is that Bruce? It's like,
let's go, man. We love Bruce.
Come closer. Well, I mean, and I think a lot of, and obviously everyone needs to go check out your Instagram, and we'll give everything at the end of the episode. But I mean, there's just so much good content, and it's not just centered around obviously your events, but it's also centered around like your coaching and your personal way with non-monogamy in terms of how you help people open their relationships and educate people on non-monogamy. And so I want to make sure, because we are getting close to the end of the episode, that we talk about, your relationship to non-monogamy, how you help people open their relationship up to non-monogamy. How do they know when it's right? I mean, feel free to just jump in and generalize. Yeah,
totally. No, I think it's very similar to how I talk about sex parties. Like I said, if you go to a party, you don't have to play. But it's a great thing to check out, even just on your journey of understanding your sexuality, your interests, and things like that. You may never go to another one, or you might decide, you know what, actually, I want something kinkier. Or it's just great to kind of discover that without the pressure. And that's why I encourage, even if you're monogamous, learning more about consensual non-monogamy and all the skills will still help your monogamous relationship. It will strengthen trust. It will deepen intimacy, because relationships are relationships, no matter how many partners or how few partners you have. Mm-hmm. It's the same skill set. I think of non-monogamy, consensual non-monogamy, as exposure therapy. All the same shit comes up in monogamy. You just have to face it in consensual non-monogamy. It's not like we don't get jealous. We just treat it as what it is, information. What is it telling me? Do I have an insecurity that's being triggered? Is there something in the relationship that we need to talk about that doesn't feel as secure? Is there some old, attachment wounds? Like, what is it trying to tell me, rather than trying to avoid it? When you have like a socially accepted one way of doing things, like this is the one relationship that exists, we can get a little lazy about it. And we're just sort of like, oh, we're in relationship now, I'm going to assume that, dating means the same thing to you as it does to me. We're living together now. I'm going to assume it means the same thing to you as it does to me. We're married. I'm going to assume that you have the same definition as cheating as I do for cheating. Yeah. Most people don't. That is honestly one of probably the most common things when couples come into me is they haven't even defined basic things like that for each other. So they think they're on the same page. One of them thinks, what's the harm in watching porn? It's that you're enjoying some quiet time. Meanwhile, their partner considers that cheating. They don't want to be hurting their partner, but they never even talked about it.
Right.
Regardless of how you feel about whether, porn is cheating or not, that's not the issue. The point is talking about these things. We can't even have these uncomfortable conversations in our relationships. We're not partners if we can't have those conversations.
Yeah.
That's why I stress, again, I make so much content because I'm so passionate about this. For me, it comes down to relationship design. If you understand your relationship design, you can create one that supports you. It's not this big, scary thing. It's creating agreements that work for everyone involved. That's all. And it necessitates some foundational skills that we're just not given. And we're just expected, happily ever after.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know how Prince Eric and Ariel do their taxes. That's happily ever after. That's the shit that goes down in the happily ever after. How do they work through it when, their exes texted? Like that's what I want to see. But all the Disney stories, all the fairy tales, they end at the beginning of the relationship. We don't have any of these skills in our cultural language. So again, regardless of if you're interested in monogamy or consensual non-monogamy, learning more about the skills and tools required by consensual non-monogamy will only improve your relationship.
Yeah, no, I could not agree with you more. And I think to touch on what you said, to take it even further, and I haven't had this discussion in a long time, but I have on the podcast when I first started. But, people, you would just the last, 50, 75, 100 years, you'd meet like someone at work or your sister's boyfriend's cousin, Tim, at the fucking tavern or whatever. And then, we giggled together and we kissed and the sex was great. Now we're married with 2 kids. And you don't, that person's a fucking stranger because you never had that communication like you talk about. So like, let alone, now there's dating apps that are just kind of jumbling everyone up and trying to mass produce bad relationship experiences so that you can just keep coming back for more and all the things. But I think, let alone, finding someone that you care about and being able to have those conversations that aren't normal. I feel like, and maybe, maybe you disagree, but I feel like it's getting like even harder, like with the I guess the political environment. It's kind of like, stop, don't question or just what, and so I feel like people, even though we have the internet and there is like I would call it probably a subculture of like, swingers and all these, awesome things that are happening on the internet out in the open. And I wasn't aware there were so many people who were in non-monogamous relationships and swinging until I started this podcast. And I think it's beautiful and I love it. And I think it's horny and fun and sexual and all the things. But I think it's even getting more repressed personally. I think it's like, you shouldn't talk about that. You should, what do you mean? You don't, red dye number 5, shut up, go to, whatever.
I mean, this is a great circle back to like how we started the conversation is repressed just makes, it's a pendulum. The more you push something down, the more it pushes back. Mm-hmm. So of course we're having this reaction. The more we've opened up culturally, the more curiosity we have, the more fear comes in, the more, pushback. Like this is perfectly natural, normal. Nothing is new here. This has happened throughout time, will continue happening. Like this is a part of that cycle. And so to that whole idea of, don't question it, do what you're told, then great. I'm pragmatic as hell. Let's talk numbers. So the majority of people are in what type of relationship, would you say?
The majority
like
of people.
I
was going to say not at all. And I would say single, but,
well,
but
the majority of partnered individuals.
I would say monogamous.
So the majority of people are actually practicing some form of non-monogamy. It's just a matter of whether it's consensual or not.
Yeah. And
so you don't have to question anything.
Yeah.
I just want people to be in integrity and be able
Sure.
to talk about what they're actually interested in so that they're not hurting people and each other. They're not hurting the people they care about, and they're not hurting each other. It doesn't have to be like that. Up until recently in history, monogamy meant one partner for life. I don't know of anyone that's actually done that. Now monogamy means one person at a time. So it's just serial non-monogamy. The rates of reported infidelity, 43% reporting, which means the number is higher.
Oh yeah.
So the majority, and that's people who are reporting infidelity, so unconsensual non-monogamy.
Way higher.
Yeah. So a third of the population, the North American population, reports some version of non-monogamous relationship as their ideal relationship structure. Let me make sure I get these numbers right. When there's too many numbers, sometimes I get a little flip around. 20% of the North American population has participated at some point in a consensually non-monogamous dynamic, dynamic.
Yeah.
And 5%, somewhere between 3 and 7% actually, American and Canadian are currently in some version of a consensually non-monogamous relationship. There are less vegans on the planet than there are consensually non-monogamous people. There are less Jews on the planet than there are consensually non-monogamous people. So it's a lot more people than you realize. The repression just is a matter of representation.
Yeah.
And that to me is what's exciting right now is we have things like this podcast. We have so many ways to connect and, shine a light on different ways of living and loving around the world. My hope is, there's pros and cons to everything, doom scrolling and all that, but we can use this tool to keep the conversation going to the best of our ability. Whatever apps are going to censor, more apps are going to come up. More ways of connection are going to happen. There's plenty of E&M, dating apps, social apps. There's so many ways to connect now, more than there ever have been. We're not a minority. Again, the majority of people, I don't know a single person who's actually practiced the traditional definition of monogamy. That doesn't mean they're not out there. There may very well be somebody who's only been with one person, will only be with someone for their whole life. I'm sure they exist. The majority of people are practicing non-monogamy. It's a matter of whether or not it's consensual. I stand for people being able to be honest with each other and figure out something that works for everyone within integrity.
I love everything you just said. Ali Iseman, thank you so much for being on the show with me this week. Let's tell them not only where they can find, your wonderful Instagram that I had mentioned previously, because I think that they all need to go follow it and like everything because, they should anyway. But truthfully, I've been following you for a while and it's just really great stuff. So the Instagram and also your website, and then also like your events, maybe some other things coming up that you want to plug.
Absolutely. So you can find me on all the things, YouTube, Substack, Instagram, under Passport to Pleasure. And that's the number 2. Passport, the number 2, pleasure.com. Instagram, TikTok. Well, TikTok's not as active anymore. We'll see. She might come back. But yes, definitely YouTube, definitely Substack, definitely Instagram. My website is where you can find all of my resources. I have my proprietary course, E&M 101, Open Up Without Breaking Up. I walk you through everything you need to know about relationship dynamics in general. Again, even if you're monogamous, this will help you really create that relationship structure that supports you both. And then you actually get to understand I call your ideal relationship structure based on your unique relationship design. And you create a relationship agreement. That is what most people think a marriage contract is. It's not. So Passport, the number 2 pleasure.com, all of my resources and more. And all of the platforms. Cavanos is my play party series that is launching this year in Lisbon. It's linked on all those platforms as well. Excuse me. And you can submit an application through our event page.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being on the show with me. I can't wait to have you back in a couple months and we'll talk about what we can talk about that happened at the event.
What happens at Kaunas stays in Kaunas.
Right. I'll get something out of you, but no, but it's been really great. I look forward to having you back many more times to talk about. There's only so much you can get to.
Don't worry.
Nice. Big finish. We love that. But yeah, no, thank you so much, and we'll talk very soon.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Huge thank you to my guest, Iseman, for being with me on the show. Can't wait to have her back to talk about everything that went down. Well, everything that she'll be allowed to talk about that went down in the Palace in Lisbon for the sex party. Make sure you go follow her accounts on Instagram. Such good stuff over there. Apply to go to one of her parties. Go to one of her parties. If you're loving guests like Allie, like I said, she'll be back. But if you're just loving this show, you're still on board with all my wacky craziness, and you want to show the podcast some love, some desire to never miss an episode, how can you do that? Well, if you're listening to this on platforms like Apple and Spotify, you could leave a rating, you could leave a review, and I would love it if you did. I would absolutely love it if you did, but you don't need to do all that. What you need to do is just subscribe to the show so you never miss a new episode every single Wednesday. If you're already subscribed, first of all, you're going to want to check, right? Because Apple Podcast has been pausing subscriptions, unsubscribing people from certain shows. So go to Apple Podcasts, go to Sex Party with Dustin Rybka in the upper right-hand corner. If you see a pause button, tap the pause button, toggle down to resume subscription, resume downloads, whatever it is. Boom, you're re-subscribed. If you're watching on YouTube, would you go to one of Allie's sex parties in an exotic location? And would you pay the high end ticket costs? And like, what do you think you would be most excited about? Let me know in the comments, okay? If you're watching on YouTube and you want to make sure you never miss a new episode every single Wednesday, you want to show some love, some desire for more sex party, maybe you want to show some rage or some hatred towards the show, how can you do all these things? Well, you could like this video, you could like all the videos, you could leave comments on this video, on all the videos, positive or negative. We will have a little back and forth. It'll be fun. But mainly, whether you love the show or you hate it, you know you don't ever want to miss it. So what you want to do is make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you never miss a new episode every single Wednesday. As always, I'm available in the DMs on Instagram. And I will see you all right back here next week.
Thanks for listening. The party continues next week. Click subscribe and let's make this a regular thing. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter @SexPartyFM. Follow Dustin @DustinRybka.